Several NBA front offices told ESPN they have a different kid ranked ahead of Cooper Flagg. In fact, this draft is so stacked, at least 5 players in the 2025 draft would have gone number 1 in 2024. Cooper's got competition. But why aren't we hearing about this? Because the hype for Cooper is insane. Yes, of course, he's big time. You don't compete against NBA players at 17 years old if you're not. But the term generational gets thrown around way too much. It's supposed to mean once every 15 to 20 years. You can't have too many of those. We've already had 2 recently, LeBron and Victor Wembanyama. That's it. Oh, Zion was a generational prospect. No, he wasn't. Supposed to be can't miss, right? But most people think Ja Morant should have gone number 1. And NBA teams know this. 1 year before the draft, people didn't even have Zion in their top 3. In fact, this early, a year out like we are now, mocks rarely get number 1 right. They guessed right on Wemby, Cade, Ant, and Ben Simmons the last 10 years. That's it. So there's a real chance Cooper Flagg doesn't go first. People have been so obsessed with him, they have ignored potential stars that could go number 1 instead. Now, before we look at these guys, what would have to go wrong for Cooper Flagg? I mean, the kid led his high school to a 30-0 season, won a national championship, but Cooper leveled up against Team USA before the Olympics. He said, I got on the court and I was like, wow, I'm guarding LeBron in the corner. Kind of just hit me for a second and I had to snap out of it, which he did, by the way. But NBA teams are concerned about 3 things: his ball handling, his shot creation, and his youth. Cooper skipped his senior year to enter the NBA early. So to see what could go wrong, look at 2015. Supposed to be a stacked draft just like 2025. And 1 year early, their top 3 was Jahlil Okafor, Cliff Alexander, and Karl Anthony Towns. Okafor was can't miss. Won every high school award, including National Player of the Year. His 1 season at Duke was good, but NBA teams suddenly got obsessed with someone else. Cat could shoot and play defense better. So all of a sudden, the guaranteed number 1 fell to 3. Now imagine the pressure Cooper Flagg is under. He has to prove that his talents lead to winning in a high-profile situation. If he struggles, that opens the door to prospect number 1, Dylan Harper. He is the guy that some teams have ranked ahead of Cooper Flagg already. A 6'5" guard with a 6'10" wingspan whose dad is Ron Harper. He was key to both Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's careers. Ron was a role player on the Bulls, so when Phil Jackson got to LA, he brought Ron with him, who won 5 titles overall. So in high school, Dylan's mom was his assistant coach. She's from the Philippines and fell in love with hoops when she moved to the US at 7 years old. Now, no one thought that Dylan would be this good, and they hired his mom years before he broke out as a junior. Dylan crushed the recruiting circuit and was invited to try out for the U19 World Cup. Not only did he make the team, he started and led in assists at 17 years old. So big-time schools recruited him, including Duke, to play with Cooper Flagg. But Dylan chose Rutgers because his brother went there. But 2 hours before his big family announcement, Adrian Wojnarowski broke the news on Twitter. This made everyone so angry. Dylan's dad said, "That was some BS you pulled today, Woj. I will catch up with you one day, I promise." And I'm pretty sure Ron Harper could kick Woj's butt. So this was crazy because Rutgers never gets great players. I mean, this is like all-stars voluntarily going to the Detroit Pistons. They missed March Madness from 91 to 2021. Their last top 50 recruit was in 2008. But now, they have not one, but 2 of the top 3. Our other guy is Ace Bailey, who most view as Cooper Flagg's biggest threat in the draft. Ace is a 6'9" American guard. They don't make those often. He has comps to Paul George, Tracy McGrady, Kevin Durant. Dude is the prototype of an NBA star. A big player who can pass, shoot, handle the ball like a Jason Tatum, Kawhi, or Luka. Just look at his high school McEachern against the elite Harvard Westlake. McEachern got down 18 points. Dozens of scouts there to watch Ace, but he was dealing with a sore knee and was tired after playing 5 games in 3 states over 7 days. Then he drugged the game to overtime with 23 points, 14 boards, 3 blocks, and a steal. Immediately after, ESPN called him the potential number 1 pick in the 2025 draft. But another player goes number 2 in a CBS mock draft. our first non-American, VJ Edgecombe. This ain't some rich ex-NBA player's kid. VJ grew up poor in the Bahamas. He came to the US to get a college scholarship and provide for his family. In fact, he's going to donate part of his NIL college money to the high school that helped him get there. He is a crazy athletic guard who can score, play make, and defend. And despite being just 6'4", he led the Jordan Brand game with 10 rebounds and made the game-winning assist. So let's look at the 5 players in 2025 that would have gone number 1 in 2024 according to The Athletic. So that's Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, VJ Edgecombe, and Nolan Traore. And if Nolan pulls this off, it would be 3 straight years of France going number 1. He is a big guard who turned down Gonzaga, Alabama, and the NBL in Australia to play back home in France next year. But every time he plays with Americans, he's one of the best. Scouts say Nolan looks like a future top 5 guard in the NBA. And if he goes off next year in France, he could go number 1. But if any one of these guys goes ahead of Cooper Flagg, that's not a bad thing for Cooper. I mean, so much of your NBA success depends on where you get drafted. Just look at the sad case of Cade Cunningham. The 2021 draft went Cade 1, Jalen Green 2, Evan Mobley 3. This dude would be in a way better position if he was drafted to the Rockets or the Cavaliers. Both of those organizations seem to know what they're doing. The Pistons just fired their coach and GM. Dysfunctional. So who are the teams that could even draft number 1 in 2025? Well, according to odds makers, these are the worst teams next year. Dead last is the Brooklyn Nets, who traded away Mikal Bridges but got their own pick back, which is huge. Then the Wizards, despite getting Alex Sarr number 2, and the Blazers. The bottom 3 have an equal shot at number 1, but anything can happen. So we've got the Pistons, Bulls, Jazz, and Hornets in the 20s, and an outside shot with the Raptors, Spurs, and Hawks at 30+ win. Now, a ton of teams are going to tank because the top 3 in this draft would have all gone number 1 last year, above Zachary Reese-Shea. But there's a chance it's not Cooper Flagg. I'm not saying that that's for sure he's not going to go number 1, or that he'll be a bust or something. I'm just saying anything can happen this far out, and we should at least know who the other kids are in a stacked draft. And Cooper Flagg is gonna be on the next US Olympic team. An NBA reporter says that 3 players are expected to make their Olympic debut: Paolo Banchero, Chet Holmgren, and Cooper Flagg. But will that be enough to win gold? I mean, even the Avengers had a tough time winning in Paris. So I took a deep dive on the USA's biggest competition in 2028.